Recently I made a video about the book on America's alligator, the sort of pop history of, the history of the American alligator in pop culture, particularly as it pertains to Florida. This, however, is the only book I'm aware of on the largest crocodilian from America. That is to say, Deinosuchus, a enormous alligatoroid that lived in the late Cretaceous period. It's written by David Schwimmer. Unfortunately, he only made one edition of this book, which is now 22 years old as of 2024. It is therefore a bit outdated. At the time Dr. Schwimmer wrote this, which incidentally, Dr. David Schwimmer, makes you think of the actor David Schwimmer, who incidentally played a paleontologist on the sitcom Friends. No relation so far as I'm aware. But at any rate, Dr. Schwimmer only includes two species, Deinosuchus rugosus in the east and Deinosuchus riograndensis in the west. Since this book has been written, it seems that paleontologists now believe there are actually 4 species of Deinosuchus. In addition to rugosus and riograndensis, there's now Deinosuchus hatcheri, and one named after Dr. Schwimmer himself, Deinosuchus schwimmeri. Unfortunately, it's been several years since I've really read this book, so I can't give you a whole lot of specifics about it, but we'll flip through and look at the pictures. This is by Indiana University Press, which makes a number of good paleontology books that are sort of in between scientific journals and, just pure popular, pop science books. So, I can definitely recommend it, but again, I wish he would come out with a second edition. I wish he already came out with a second edition. Deinosuchus is an animal that I knew about as a kid. I had some big prehistoric life book with illustrations of all sorts of prehistoric animals. And these are some of Deinosuchus's teeth. Heavily enameled, very robust, oftentimes sort of rounded and compressed. But in the 90s, when I was growing up, people knew about Deinosuchus. This is the famous American Museum of Natural History skull, and it's actually fake. They had portions of the skull, and they overestimated the size originally, and they also got the shape wrong. So, very famous skull, but not real. There's the Western Interior Seaway. Deinosuchus lived on both sides of the Western Interior Seaway. The larger specimens all seem to be on the western shore, whereas the smaller specimens seem to be on the east coast, largely, in my home state of Georgia, which, incidentally, David Schwimmer teaches at Columbus State University in Georgia. But even the smaller sized animals were enormous, 26-foot long monsters. The western shore ones were closer to 40 feet, it seems, which is difficult to even imagine. They were thought to be, they were true dinosaur eaters. This is a picture of Dinosuchus eating a Appalachiosaurus, which was a tyrannosaurid that I believe was discovered by David Schwimmer or some of his students. But for a long time in paleontology, there just wasn't that much interest in them. People were like, yeah, it's a giant, 40-foot crocodile. Nothing special. But the way I see it, it's a giant 40-foot crocodile. How could that not be anything special? During the time that this creature lived, it was actually one of the heaviest predators on North America. I do believe this. I can't remember if this actually coexisted with Tyrannosaurus rex, but if it did, it rivaled it in size and probably exceeded it in strength, at least in bite force. So it was a true monster, and it appeared in huge numbers, apparently, particularly on the eastern shore of the Western Interior Seaway. Schwimmer notes that they were just enormous numbers of fossils he found for it. So, kind of cool. Just wanted to share this with you. So, have a good day.